Hey friends, it's Meir K, and welcome to the Great Day Podcast. Today's guest is a legend, a scholar. He's talented, creative. He took his passion and created an incredible business around it as well. He travels around the world sharing his passion of singing with those from all four corners of the earth. He's a father, he's a husband, and he's a good friend of mine. We worked on some incredible projects together, which we're going to delve into today. Very excited to have here in the VM Gallery in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, New York. Please make some noise for Benny Friedman. And seeing Hakoyin Friedman.
Hey. From the only people on planet Earth who know my name. Everyone's like, oh, the Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Everyone assumes, yeah.
Who are you named after? Where's Ben come from?
I don't even know. My father's great grandfather. It's my grandfather's grandfather.
Yeah.
I'm number 11 in my family, so I think my parents were running out of names.
Starting grasping. Who can we?
Yeah.
You're the youngest.
I'm not the youngest. No, I'm from a family of 14.
Whoa.
You know how to.
14. That's insane.
Yeah. It's
quite common within the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community.
Yeah.
But I know from the same two parents, right?
Oh yeah.
No, I just want to clarify.
And no twins.
And no set of twins.
Right. Because people as twins, that's cheating.
Right.
No twins. One at a time. 14.
Insane. Wow, incredible. And has music been part of, like, when you grew up, that was part of your household, or you were an anomaly, or you someone?
No, music was definitely part of it. First of all, I have a famous uncle, Ivri Friedman, right? So it was very always,
we'll talk about Ivri.
He would, come out with a new CD, and it was like Simchas Torah in the house. It was a very, very big event. And whatever, music always in the house. We sang, it was big part of my childhood. Even though we lived in Minnesota, far, far away, we had to wait weeks and weeks till the music would arrive. Very exciting times. I remember that. So
Ivri Friedman, you would say your uncle Ivri Friedman, he had a big influence on you as a child and
huge.
Today. Yeah,
huge. Hard to describe, what kind of an influence it was. Try to describe.
Let's try it.
I mean, he is a huge influence on my life. I mean, look, I modeled my whole life after his. Like,
you dafka not do Fried because of that?
I didn't dafka not do Fried. I kind of just started, singing, and then at some point it was just too late. It never even. There's no opportunity to change my name to Fried.
Yeah, because it's quite common in the Jewish world that everybody, even myself included, right? Meir K, Kalmutzin, right. Everybody takes their last name, takes the first letter, and runs with that.
Right.
The stage name.
I remember that. Like, it was interesting that you did that because you were quite popular.
Yeah. With
Meir Kalmutzin.
Sure.
And then suddenly it was like, no, rebranding.
It was a big rebranding.
Yeah.
I actually so if we go way back, I started with AMK Productions, right. And I felt that was just too corporate. Moved it to Meir Kalmutzin, and then Meir K for the only reason that I rhymed with Have a Great Day. And I had to get my parents' permission because I felt guilty as well because we learned in Torah that when the Jews were Mitzrayim, they didn't change their name, their clothing. So here I was in the modern 21st century going on changing my name for what reason? But I got the blessings. My grandmother was fine with it. So just going back to it, when you were answer honestly, please. I'd love to know when you were moving into this direction.
Honesty costs extra. I don't do honesty.
We're going in. We're gonna ask the tough questions here. Have this uncle Ivri Friedman. He's a pioneer in Jewish music. What was that like? Did he? Besides, did he give you any advice and such? But was there a certain internal battle that you had to go through to say, like, to tell yourself, like, I'm not going to be like Ivri. I'm going to do this my own way. I'm going to do something different.
Oh yeah, for sure. First of all, he told me, don't do it. Yeah. He said it's very difficult. It's very difficult. You have to be prepared for it. You're never home, right? Yeah, if you're successful, right? If you're not successful, then you're just depressed and nobody wants you in the house. If you are successful, then you're just never home. You're never home for homework. You're never home for supper time. You're never home for bedtime, and it's very difficult. It's not easy. So it's a big price to pay. So he said, don't do it. That's my first advice. First advice, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Second, if you have already decided to do it, so then we can talk. But first decide that you want to do it, and then let's talk. So I told, it took a few days, and I said, yeah, let's do it.
How old were you then?
I was probably 21 or 22. So he gave me some good advice, And also he gave me some good connections. He made some phone calls. Like he used, he threw a little bit of his weight around.
Great.
Which is very nice.
So you weren't determined to do this, like, quote unquote, some people go into business or new ventures like, I don't want anybody's help. I don't want to work for my brother-in-law who's very successful. Right. You're like, nah, yalla, help me out.
People say, I hope you don't mind that I say this, but you sound like your uncle. I go, don't mind if you say it. What are you crazy?
It's the biggest compliment.
Sound like my uncle is the greatest Jewish singer that ever lived. You heard it here. I mean, look, if I was the nephew of some other singers, you told me I sounded like him, I'll be like, oh.
Right, for sure. If it's an Ivri Fried.
But Ivri Fried, that's perfectly fine. But I will tell you that, like we said earlier, I grew up listening to him and copying him and mimicking him every move and every knetch and every tenua. So when I started singing seriously, I stopped listening to his music probably for 2 years. Because I realized when I listen to him, I sing like him. So I was trying very hard to undo some of that. To figure out my own sound or style or whatever. And then after 2 years, I came back to listening to his music, I was like, man.
That's it.
Schmack.
And he's someone who's really dedicated so much to his craft. I mean, you have singers out there who go out and they just show up and they sing. He goes to voice lesson and still goes till today, I hear, just to continue maintaining and growing in new ways. If you hear his first album to his more recent albums, the range and the clarity is unparalleled.
The voice he built a voice, and his voice gets stronger and stronger. But there's no question about it. He takes it very seriously, and he's a hard worker, and he's a pro. And you watch him and you see it. Yeah, you see some people take it very casual. Sure. I'm in, sing, and some people, and I don't think anybody works harder than he does. So I have a lot to learn from him. I haven't learned that particular lesson, but it's coming down the pipe eventually.
And you come from you have trained with some of the best. Seth Riggs, I believe.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a top voice coach who does Madonna and Michael Jackson and whatnot. And also Benny Friedman.
And now he can add that name to the list.
Wow. So how was that experience working with such a professional?
The problem is, first of all, it was great. It was super. I studied with him for also 2 years, maybe a little bit more. It was fantastic. The problem is that since I haven't stopped studying, he's in Los Angeles, I live here in New York, and so I can't find another voice teacher, right? Because I go into to sit with somebody, I'm like, but he's not Seth Riggs, right? I mean, Seth Riggs, you just went in and you totally relaxed, and I put my voice in your hands, total trust. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. And you go into a young guy, do this, and you're like, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to. A voice coach can really either it can help you incredibly, or it can really mess you up. I keep knocking into this microphone, but so that's a problem. That's the problem with going to the best, is that you have to replace him eventually, and it's a problem. But Seth Riggs changed my voice completely. And pretty amazing and pretty geschmack. Amazing.
I mean, and you also come from an incredible, talented family. I mean, within this Jewish world of music, I mean, there's you, of course. You have your uncle. We talked about Ivri Fried, and then there's Eighth Day. There's Eli Marcus. There's in the production. You have Chaim Marcus, the brothers of the Marcuses. You have their sister Nechama, who's an incredible, talented producer and visual artist. Incredible. And I'll be missing some cousins that I.
Simcha Friedman in Israel.
Simcha Friedman. Simcha's a cousin, of course. And of course, there's no question about your father, Rabbi Friedman as well, a prolific author and world-renowned speaker. So, where does this gene come from? Where does this Friedman gene, who's heart of this is amazing?
If you ask my grandmother, it comes from her.
Right.
My grandmother, Allah Shalom, she would always say, the talent comes from my side of the family. But the truth is, actually, the story goes, my grandmother was home before she got married. And her father came home from shul one day and said, today in shul I heard a balkoire, such a wonderful balkoire, beautiful, mamish, so beautiful, I think we should make a shidduch.
That's how the story went.
Yeah.
Wow.
So apparently my grandfather was also quite talented.
So it started from generations, and they passed it on from generation to generation. That's insane. So we brought up your father, and I want to just quickly or not quickly, go just delve down that rabbit hole for a second. Amazing man. I've heard him. I remember hearing him for the first time when I was in yeshiva in Pittsburgh. Wow, I was 15. Now I'm not 29. So do the math, right? And I was floored. I was floored. I never actually seen or sat in a public. I never sat in like a really discussion. I mean, I was in school and my teacher spoke, but no one professional would get up and spoke the way he did. And I was really amazed by the depth of his knowledge and the way he brought it down to, the level in which I was able to understand. Don't ask me what exactly he talked about now. But an amazing man, and of course an author. Like he talks about why don't we blush anymore, or the secret to intimacy.
The joy of intimacy.
The secrets. No secret. The joy of intimacy. A man who's quite familiar with the worlds of relationships. So how was he, as a father, and of course as and with the reputation that he has, while you were dating? Did he have a massive? Did he get involved with that?
He only got involved when I would ask him to. It's definitely a huge bracha, a huge blessing to have access to somebody like that. I agree with you. I think he's quite insightful and very intelligent. And Hasidus, he's got a mastery on Hasidus. He understands it, and he can explain it.
Sure.
Right? You have people who can understand it, but they can't explain it. You have people who can explain it, but they can't understand it, which is also a problem that exists. But it's the greatest blessing, for sure.
Is there something
even just having him at the Shabbos table, right, and just schmoozing, also geschmack, also educational, right? You come out of a 2-hour or 3-hour Shabbos meal, and you're like, you have a lot to think about. It's Baruch Hashem. It's a fantastic bracha.
Is there something, you're such a wise man, being around him all your life, is there something that sticks out, a lesson, a story that he shared with you that has stayed with you for all these years?
I would have to think about going back all these years, but I mean, just this Shabbos, we had my parents over Shabbos for the meal, and we just started discussing this idea of a Hasidic superstar.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is
sort of
the
like a
greatest. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because Hasidus, the whole avodah of Hasidus is to nullify yourself and not
stay humble, stay grounded. So who am I?
Be a servant,
Sure.
not be a. And then you have this concept of a Hasidic superstar. So first of all, the first thing my father said was, "You're right. It doesn't make sense. It shouldn't exist."
Okay.
And then it was like an hour-long conversation, just trying to pick it apart, like this idea that the Rebbe was the single most famous rabbi of the 20th century, and the Rebbe never turned into a celebrity. The Rebbe never dressed in fancy new clothes. The Rebbe never drove a fancy new car. The Rebbe never looked for any kind of celebrity.
You
right?
turned away from.
The Rebbe once spoke about it. People come to shul to daven and they spend the whole time looking at me. He didn't say me, but he said they spend the whole time looking at a human being instead of focusing on Hashem. It bothered the Rebbe. The Rebbe tried very hard not to become
to be
a
in
superstar.
to be in the spotlight, however, not to absorb that light.
Right.
Just to project it, to give it out.
Right, exactly. In other words, the Rebbe did everything he needed to do. Right? The Rebbe took his job very seriously.
Sure.
And it meant being the leader of a huge movement and creating a huge revolution and all that good stuff. But personally, it never like say in Bilaz, it never got to his head. It's the job. You take the job seriously. You don't take yourself seriously, which is huge. Huge.
Do you think the Rebbe would have stopped for selfies today?
Probably not.
You think people would have
Probably
approach?
Not. I think the Rebbe would not settle for an interaction that is so unproductive.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with that.
Right? The Rebbe spent hours and hours giving out dollars.
Sure.
Give you $1 to give to tzedakah. Right? I'm meeting you, it should help a third person. I'm meeting you, I'm making you a shliach to do something good. I'm meeting you, we're taking a picture that you will never ever look at ever again in your life. There's no reason for that. There's no excuse to stop for those 2 seconds when you could be using those 2 seconds for something productive.
As we know, the Rebbe used every moment, every second for positivity and for productivity. So I hear, wow. So in that kind of story, that's do you view yourself as a Jewish superstar? What does that look like?
Interesting that you ask. It's interesting. I think about it a lot.
Sure.
Because Taka, it's oxymoronical, right? You wake up in the morning and you learn Hasidus and you talk about bittul and serving Hashem and all that, and then you have your head bent over the book and someone's like, "Excuse me, can I take a photo for my son?" It's like it's
pulls you out of this world.
But I think that in today's generation, they have made it clear that you have to do what you are called upon to do. And you have to, A, not let it get to your head, and B, not let the fact that it might get to your head stop you from doing what you have to do. The Rebbe did not allow people to stop working because they felt it wasn't good for their spiritual growth. You put your spiritual growth on the side and you dedicate your life to other people. And I think that because the Rebbe demanded it, the Rebbe also, obviously we also have the ability to do it within the context of a Hasidic lifestyle. So you look at somebody like Avram Fried, who is the greatest Jewish superstar in our business, and you see him walk down the street and you see him interact with people, and he's super humble and super personable, and again, he takes his job extremely seriously. When he's on that stage, he will bring the house down. Total fire. And when he's off the stage, he's got his chitas, he's got his Rambam, he's got his minyan. He is a Hasidic Yid in today's generation. And a Hasidic Yid in today's generation means you do what you have to do, and you don't worry about, being too humble.
So what moment in your life did you realize, it can be from a very young age, that this was your calling, that music, you wanted to connect with people and wanted to make this your life? I know, as you said at 21, you mentioned you brought up to Ivri Free, but before then, like, was there a time where you're like, wow, I got to do this for my life, for the rest of my life?
I don't know when it was exactly. It was early on. I always loved music. I love singing. It's a weird thing, but I love to sing. It's like
Why do you think that's weird?
No, it's like a weird thing. You just want to make noise out of your throat. I love it. It's a weird thing, but it doesn't matter. I mean, people love weird things.
You're a weird guy.
I'm a weird guy. That's okay.
Guy.
That's okay. I always loved it, and because I had an uncle Avram Fried, so the idea of making a living in singing existed in my world. So I don't know when exactly I wanted to do it, but I wanted to do it very early. I wasn't sure I would be successful, which is very scary. I'm putting going all in on something, and you don't know, but that's how everybody, it's a risk that everybody takes.
What kind of risks were there? What kind of challenges were there in the beginning that you felt like, this is heavy stuff, I'm committing to this?
First of all, financially. It's a big financial investment that obviously, like any investment, there's no guarantees. And second of all, life, right? When you're going out to meet somebody, potential wife, and you're like, this is what I want to do. They have to understand either that you're serious about it, and I'm committed to being successful, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be this, or like they have to also be willing to be married to somebody who tried spectacularly and failed spectacularly. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just a funny thing to do, and it's extremely public.
Absolutely.
Right? You put yourself out there, and everybody sees your success or your failure, whatever. So that's part of the cheshbon that you have to take into consideration.
Were there some women that you dated that once you shared them your vision, your dream, that they were like, I don't want to date this guy?
They didn't tell me that, but I'm sure it was part of it.
Got it.
I was very honest with everybody, right?
That was definitely it was a non-negotiable for you. This was something that you were going to do.
It was something that I was definitely going to try. And I know people in my business who didn't find out that they wanted to do this till after they were married, right? And now they're doing it, and they're successful at it, and it's a very difficult lifestyle. And some people, the wife is not on board. or not on board is struggling with it, and it's very difficult. And sometimes they go, "Look, I didn't sign up for this." So Baruch Hashem, I have a Eishes Chayil, Lateres Baila.
So Taka, how do you manage this work and life? I mean, work and life balance? How many shows are you doing a year?
Oh, I don't know, a bunch.
150?
No, I mean, you're talking about shows in general, or are you talking about traveling out of town?
Let's start with shows. How many shows do you think you're?
Let's say 150. I don't know.
150 shows. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and how many? Would you say how many days out of the month you're away?
Out of a week, I'm probably not home 3 nights.
3 nights a week. Incredible. Yeah. How many passport books have you gone through this past year?
I got a new passport this year. No.
How many passport books have you gone through since you started singing?
Since I started, I got one new passport, and then the new passport that I have added. I found that you can add pages, so I've added pages.
So you're traveling 3 times out of the week on average. So that's a lot.
Not traveling.
Shows.
I'm away from home. In other words, I could be in Borough Park or Williams. It's just a drive away.
Still, but
I'm home.
Bedtime and waking up, and there's a whole schedule.
Right.
So that leads me to the question of work and life balance. For someone like yourself, and you knew this is something your uncle even told you, right? You're going to be out there, you're going to be traveling, you're missing a lot of these big events in one's family life. How do you find balance in that?
It's very difficult because they're both important, right? Obviously, you work in order to support your family, right? It's not, you can't sacrifice your family for your work. So if it's not working for your family, then you need to give up your job. But they're both important. Family is more important. What I try to do is to be up in the morning, right? If I'll go to sleep late, wake up in the morning when the kids wake up, till they go to school, and then figure the rest out, because I'm usually not home for supper time, bedtime, that kind of thing. And then when I'm out of town, try to stay in touch on the phone with, FaceTime, Skype, and all that.
If your child told you, Dad, I want to, Papi, Tati, I want to be a singer, I want to get into business, would you be supportive, knowing the lifestyle and the life that it takes? My
kids are little, right? So I really don't know what kind of grown-ups they are yet, or what kind of grown-ups they will be yet. Mm-hmm. It is difficult. I wouldn't say don't do it, because I did it.
Sure.
But it is difficult, and you have to be prepared for it, and you have to have nerves of steel, or you have to be like me, like a little space-o, and it doesn't realize a lot of things that happen around me. So that's fine. But it is difficult, there's no question. But a lot of things are difficult, so I wouldn't say don't do it. I would just be honest about the pros and the cons. Share your journey, share your story, and let them see for themselves, perhaps. Got it. So, in this world of music and Jewish music, and you've been around it for so long, right? From your uncles and growing up in it, you had a couple years on me, but still, how have you seen Jewish music change from the old timers, from the Chazanim of old, from Mordechai Davids and the Ivri Frieds, until where we find ourselves today with yourself and with the other artists that we're so blessed to have? So here's what I think. I think for a long time, Jewish music was fantastic, really fantastic.
Was okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm coming to a point.
Okay, no, all right. I'm just putting dramatic, pulse on that.
Jewish music was fantastic, and this is also personal preference, personal opinion. Jewish music was fantastic. Then, and it could be just, my age or whatever, Jewish music kind of went through like a dark time as far as quality and whatever. Not sadness, but just, it was a dearth. A dearth means not enough?
It was lacking.
It was lacking in quality Jewish music. And then, probably 10 years ago, maybe less.
Just when Benny Friedman came
just
to
about
the
when
scene.
I came out, a few years before me.
Just coincidental.
A few years before I came onto the scene. Jewish music kind of started picking up in terms of quality, in terms of production, and got better and better and better. And today, quality-wise, Jewish music is at a very high level, I think. But the very high level and the success and the hits, right? Today in Jewish music, you have hits.
Yeah.
Big hits.
Big numbers.
Ivri Anochi, 13 million.
13 million? Oh my gosh. Who made that video?
Plug.
We'll get to Ivri Anochi. We got time for that in the show.
13 million. So when that happens, suddenly everybody's chasing after something else. In the 80s, in the 90s, in the 70s, you would get into a studio and you would just make an album of geschmack and music, of just good songs, and have a good time. And, songs had time to develop and people would spend time listening to them. And, even a song that in today's world would be, you would never take a second glance at it. Years ago, people would listen, give it a chance, and songs had a chance to develop and to stick around. And you listen to albums. You listen to albums that came out then, and you think, look at that song. That song was so geschmack. Try to find a song like that on an album today. It's impossible, because today everything's faster. Everything is, you have 5 seconds to catch somebody's attention. It's like we're chasing a whole different thing today.
Could it be as well that there were less artists back then? So
there were
just less options. So you would just hear the same album time and time again.
Yeah, there were less. I think. I don't remember. I'm sure there was also a lot of people who were coming out with music that I never heard of.
Sure.
Because I was small. And there was no internet, there was no YouTube. So if you didn't hear about them somehow, so there was no way for you to hear about them. Today, you scroll on Instagram and you get ads. This guy coming out with a new CD. This guy, like, who's that? Hashtag Jewish music, and you just get all the information. So there's a lot more information coming at you. That's for sure. And for that reason, people, when you're making albums, it's like the music is a lot more. I want to say like the music is more aggressive. Like the music is much more, boom, 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 bombastic than just. Let's just get in a room and make beautiful music. So from that side, we lost a little bit, but all right, listen, I'm not complaining.
Do you feel like perhaps that, in other words, like the business aspect or the marketing aspect of a song is starting to creep into the creative part of the creation of it? So
for
instead
sure.
Of just like, right, you mentioned sitting there, it's like, okay, what will actually get those hits, will get someone to listen and turn into a science? Let's
listen to a song. Oh, I'm just picturing this song at a concert. It wouldn't really work because blah, 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 like that's how you have to work today. It's not, that's a beautiful song. Let's record that, and put it out in the world for people to enjoy. No, it's like, what can that song do for me?
So that leads me to a question of, so that leads me to ask you, how do you define Jewish music? I feel like back in the day, and the way I would think of Jewish music is a lot of trumpets, orchestra, and that's what was considered Jewish music. Anything other than that, if it didn't have a trumpet in it, it wasn't Jewish music. It seems like, and I feel like one of the artists of today that are pushing those boundaries in certain areas. And, I feel like there's a certain, people we're entering a new era. And how would you define what Jewish music is?
I don't know. I don't know. As far as I know, there's no concept of like Jewish music in halacha. Like you don't look in a Shulchan Aruch and talk about what's Jewish music. Jewish music is a personal thing. You have to set your own boundaries. Begadol, there is. Music is Jewish. Music is a Jewish thing. Joy, simcha, is a Jewish thing. So if you think it's Jewish, then it's Jewish. If you think it's not Jewish, then it's not Jewish. Mm-hmm. In other words, if you think it's worth listening to, worth spending your time on, so then if you think it's not, then it's not. I actually asked the Rav once. I said, what's the deal with non-Jewish music and Jewish music? Like, what's together? And he said to me, who has time for that? I don't understand. A Hasidic younger man, you have what to do from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep. Yeah, you're busy. Who has time to listen to Alte Babas in the old home, in the Alte Heim, when they would cook in the kitchen, they would listen to music. It's not usher, but you got to spend your time with Important things. What are you, an alte babetschke, cleaning a chicken, listening to music?
With a bigger beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe not. That's some babetschkes who had a mustache.
Yeah. So Jewish music, I actually heard, I read somewhere, somebody's definition of Jewish music. Jewish music is music that is written by a Jew as a Jew. Interesting, right?
Interesting.
In other words, not every song that Paul Simon wrote is a Jewish song just because he's Jewish. But if he wrote a song, in other words, if the Jew in him wrote a song, so like Peter Yarrow wrote a song, he was part of Peter, Paul, and Mary. He wrote many songs, but he also wrote a song called Light One Candle, right? Don't let the light go. Light One Candle for the Maccabee children. He wrote that song as a Jew. No, so that's a Jewish song. Even though it was performed by Peter, Paul, and Mary, but that's a Jewish song.
A Jewish song.
And Yesh Loimar even...
It's safe to say, I mean, of course, there'll be people in the Jewish community or the Orthodox community who wouldn't listen to that because...
Absolutely.
Right.
And you don't have to listen to everything that's just because it's a Jewish song. You don't have to listen to everything. There are people who will not listen to most of Jewish music. They'll only listen to Hasidic music. They'll only listen to songs. And that's fine. Music is meant to move you and to take you somewhere where you can't get without it. And if you feel that music is moving you in the wrong place, don't listen. I don't, you know what I mean? Adrabah, everybody should have, their rules and regulations and boundaries for themselves. In fact, in Halacha, in Torah, there's an idea, there's a concept where you took the red heifer, right? If a person became impure, so they would take the ashes of the red heifer, and the kohen would take it and sprinkle it on the guy, and the guy would become pure. But the kohen who did it, he would become impure. So there is a concept of mitaheres atmeim umitamees atohirim. It can purify those who are impure, but at the same time make impure those who are pure, right? So you can have the same song that for somebody it can mamish save his life, spiritually speaking, physically speaking, and for the next guy, it can destroy him. Music is extremely powerful, but it can go both ways. The same song, one way for somebody and another way for somebody else. So every person has to be their own judge. Or you have to have a mashpia, have somebody,
Absolutely.
But it's a personal thing. There's no red line, this is Jewish, this is not Jewish. Obviously, text-wise, lyric-wise, there's, to be against halacha. But music, I don't think...
So when it came down to some of your more recent songs, Yesh Shikva, Ivri Anochi, were you a little apprehensive when it came to it's a bit more beaty, a bit more electronic, and people may, especially yourself, you come from from the Chabad movement, from your Hasidic Chassid. Do you think was there some hesitancy going to that world of electronic music?
Not really.
No. Not
really. I mean, when I came in to the business, electronic music was in.
Yeah.
Was in already.
Yeah.
I didn't break the. I didn't.
You didn't pioneer it.
Yeah, and I didn't break any rules. And I believe strongly that if it's music that I like, then I will make it. If it's music that I don't like, for example, personal preference, I don't like this heavy house electronic dance music. I just don't like it. Nothing wrong with it. People like it. It's not my preference. So I just stay away from it because it doesn't do anything for me. But there's plenty of people who love it. There's plenty of Jewish music that uses, intense house dance music.
Yeah.
Like EDM. And
look at you, Benny, dropping these words like this. You're with the times.
Well,
wow, Benny.
So, and for example, heavy duty hip hop, rap music.
I never heard it as heavy duty, but
heavy duty
hip hop.
No, like light hip hop and heavy duty hip hop. I mean, yeah. I don't really know the nuance,
distinctions between them, but okay.
But apparently, there's a difference.
You do what feels right to you.
I do not what feels right. Uh-huh. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
Well,
if it resonates within me, so then if I can associate with that music, so I can associate with that music. I can make that music. Music. There's no such thing as a style of music that is inherently unkosher. If it's for me, it's for me. If it's not for me, it's not for me.
So what are you trying to portray? What's your message that you're looking to spread through your music?
I'm trying to spread the message of joy in serving Hashem, brotherly love, Avas Yisrael, and to also that we should realize how precious we are in His eyes. Mm-hmm. And to try as much as possible, and even more than that, to live up to His expectations. I think those are...
It's an interesting perspective, how important that we are in His eyes.
Yeah.
What do you think people have struggled with that? Why do you think people have a difficulty understanding that concept?
People have a hard time accepting it because we have kind of accepted a way of thinking about Hashem that is foreign, I think, to Yiddishkeit, where we think of Hashem as this far, far away...
Man, this guy.
Right. Even though we don't... Right, we still... Man, this guy, but... Halik. But far removed, not emotionally invested in what's happening here on earth. He's far too big to actually be affected by this. He's perfect. He doesn't need anything. This whole world that's created here is just like a hobby or something like that he did for some... it's hard to understand really the full... When you think about it and you think about it and you think about it, you realize that if he doesn't need it, then it really makes no sense, the whole enterprise. It doesn't make any sense. And we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. But it's very important, and it changes everything. It changes everything when you realize that to him, what happens here is extremely, extremely negea. It affects him very, very much, infinitely. Like everything he does is infinite because he's infinite. It
affects him, however, isn't he the puppeteer? Isn't he the one in charge of the events that are taking place? And I mean to turn this into a whole psychological discussion. Don't worry, folks. You could fast forward this for a little bit if you want to jump back to the music part. But just and now just want to hear your opinion on that. But puppeteer, he's curious to know what's going on. He's attached and he wants to know, and yet at the same time, he's in control of it all.
Yeah, that's a very deep philosophical question about how he could give us free choice and still, know exactly the choices that we'll make and know the future and the past and the present all in one time. It's a good question.
Yeah,
and it's probably a long discussion, but the fact is that he created a world, he put us here, and he told us what he needs from us to do and what he needs from us not to do, and when we do what he needs, or God forbid, don't do, or do what he doesn't need, or don't do what he needs, and things like that, those things really affect him. And the fact that he gave us the choice to either give him infinite joy or infinite sadness and pain, I mean, that's the purpose for creation. He wanted a real live relationship, a real live interaction with us, where the choice is ours to not robots and not angels and not... These things are important to him. And people have a hard time with it, but when you think about it long enough, and your initial reaction is... But when you think about it long enough,
wow,
that's everybody's reaction.
We're going to slow that down in slow motion and make a meme out of that.
Everybody has that initial reaction because it's so uncomfortable to think about, God needs something. So when you think about it, or if you think about it, and if you have somebody smart to explain it for you, you realize that it's not so terrible to think this way, and it changes everything. Suddenly mitzvahs are infinitely important. Suddenly your life is infinitely important. Suddenly your mission here is infinitely important. I mean, your fellow is infinitely... it really changes everything. Mm. It really, really changes everything.
That's amazing. And when you put out your music and you're spreading these messages, do you get responses back from the listeners? And if so, what are they saying?
Definitely. Get great responses from the listeners.
Does it initiate? I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of comments like, "Oh, we love your music, we love this beat, we love the words." But do people actually reach out and connect with the deeper message of what you're trying to put out there? And if so, does that open up a conversation? What takes place?
You have every day people sending messages specifically for Ivri Anochi.
Yeah.
Yesh tikva b'shaitoi, and Ivri Anochi now. People say, I mean, just yesterday, I got 2 messages and people said, this song, it was extremely helpful in my journey back to my Yiddishkeit.
Wow.
Like real.
That's real life right there.
That's real.
That's real.
Somebody actually told, I always get these, after a while, the messages sound the same. Like, Yesh Tikva really give me a lot of hope and strength in a hard time, which is also great, I'm not discounting it. But once I was at a restaurant and somebody sent a bottle of wine to the table. And then after the meal, he came over and he said, I just want you to know that since your song, Ivri Anochi, came out, I go with my yarmulke to work.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Those are some of the perks of being a superstar. Oh,
Yeah.
a singer. Hasidic artist like yourself. Oh, amazing. No one's sending me any bottles at restaurants.
Yeah.
Any, huh? Great. I'm just a bus driver, though, so, Anywho, great.
Don't drink and drive. That could be the reason.
That's right. That's right. I mean, Ivri Anochi now has, you said, 13 million views on YouTube.
13 million views.
Is this safe to say that Ivri Anochi is the most viewed Jewish music video?
I think besides for the Maccabees Hanukkah song, right? I flip my latkes in there sometimes. I'm not sure where they're up to, but I think they have more. But also they're a parody song. So definitely, Ivri Anochi is number 1 original Jewish song on YouTube right now. Right now. People coming after it, you know what I mean? There's people working hard.
Of course.
Yeah. But
we
right
love
now,
Maccabees and all surpass them, no doubt. Wow, that's amazing. Do you feel like Yesh Tikva was, I would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, your big hit that sort of brought you to a new level?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. When you were making that, when you were releasing it, did you have a feeling this is going to be as grand and as powerful as it did for your career?
Not even a little bit.
No, I didn't.
Not even a little bit. I said to my producers then, I said, look, I think this will work. If this doesn't work, I don't know what will work. But at that time, Yalili, my cousin's 8th day, had a song called Yalili, right? And it was everywhere. It was really, it was massive.
He also changed the game when it came to music videos as well, right?
Yeah.
It was massive.
So Yalili was all the rage. It was like a cultural phenomenon in the Hasidic world. And I said to them in the studio, I said, look, I think this song will work. It's not going to be Yalili, right? Not going to be Yalili. Let's not go crazy.
Right.
But it'll be good, I think. And it was crazy. It was a cultural phenomenon. Like they wrote about the song in Ami magazine or something like that. It was like an op-ed, an editorial.
Amazing.
About this song, and it became a thing all by itself. That definitely changed the whole game for me, for sure. Wow. And also, it made me addicted to hits, which is a small problem. So
that was when you were mentioning that earlier. That was a little self-awareness on your own end. Yeah. You're like, okay, this feels good. This is interesting. Yeah. It's also it's a fix as well.
Yeah.
So it has
and also it's easier to make money when you're successful. So from when you're starting out, you're like, I'm gonna make music and I'm not gonna be a sellout. I'm gonna be I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then suddenly you make a hit song and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna focus on that because that's better.
You see, and you've tasted that.
It's a problem. But it's a good problem.
It's a good problem to have, and that's something that you've had struggle coming around to, like being a person who's making money and stepping into that power.
Well, I'm not making so much money.
Oh, no.
Like I live in Brooklyn. I don't have any savings. But
no, but you know what I mean. Like in the sense of like making a parnasa, making a living. That's as one of the top Jewish singers, do your craft. It's a different dynamic from someone who's just a struggling artist.
I think in any business, right, where you go in with a passion, and then suddenly it becomes your source of income, where you need to do this in order to make money, right? I started working on my first album when I was single, with no responsibilities and no expenses and no nothing. So, artistically, I was very free. I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. Today, I'm making music with a lot of responsibilities and a lot of financial expenses and things like that, where suddenly it's like, what like we said, what is it going to do for me? What's the return on investment on this song? Because I can't just be spending money without thinking about it. The game changes. And I think in any business, right? You go in with a passion, and suddenly you need to be smart about it because you got to make money. So I think it happens to everybody. You see new guys coming into the business, and they're going, I'm going to make an album, it's going to be different. And then they do it, and then they're like, I'm going to make another album, and it's going to try to make money. You know, it's hard. It's very hard because, listen, the world runs on money. That's it is what it is. But so Yesh Tikva was the first hit, and I was like, this is better. Yeah, this is better than not having a hit. And then I told myself, Yesh Tikva is a one-off thing. It's not going to happen again. So I have to not think about it. I have to just try to make good music. If you like it, do it, and try to make sure it's good.
Don't get your hopes up. It's a nice runoff.
Yesh Tikva was lightning in a bottle, and it doesn't happen twice. So the next album I had Toda. And I said to myself, look, Toda is not Yesh Tikva. Good, but no song is going to be Yesh Tikva, so that's fine. Went with it. And it wasn't Yesh Tikva. And then
popular, but not as
it was
not the same caliber.
Baruch Hashem, I'm not complaining, but it wasn't.
Toda.
Even though I get a lot of regards from Toda probably because of the balloons.
The balloons was a nice aspect, and I remember it was a freezing, windy day when we filmed that music video, and we had you hide in a little box outside of Jerusalem. You're so much fun to work with on music videos. I mean, I gotta say, like I've had the opportunity to work with you in a few music videos, and also some like just fun carpool karaoke type videos. People come over to me all the time, always sharing how they love the beard scene. How we went to that barber and they shampooed our beard and they put the nice little kind of conditioner inside. My beard never felt the same way since.
Yeah.
And it was it's just always a fun time with you. You have a great sense of humor. You're fun. You're with it. And you're also one of the few artists that I've worked with that don't mind to like get into costume. They don't mind like being wacky and fun and tap into your weirdness that you are. No, you're
tap dancing.
Tap dancing, more recently, right? The B'Kachom, an incredible organization out of Lakewood, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Tap dancing. It was a new skill set. That morning you showed up. We had the choreographers there. Boom, you learned it. You took some time. You're not afraid to try new things. I love it. And in that music video alone, there was like 3-4 different costume changes, and you're game for all of it. So that's really cool. I don't know where.
Well, first, I appreciate that. I mean, I wish you would tell me more about all the great.
Yeah, I mean, go bring it back with Toda. So Toda was freezing. I bring this massive box, and it must have been 5 feet by 4 feet, and there you are, getting yourself into this box, closing it up. The kids came over, they opened it up, the balloons came out. A lot of fun to play with.
Yeah. So it goes back to the idea of not taking yourself seriously, but taking your job or your avodah, whatever aspect it is. And then Ivri Anochi also recorded a full album. No Yesh Tikva.
Fill
the world with light.
Love that title. Yeah, of course. Be the lamplighter.
Fill the world with light. In the Gemara it says a phrase, "We are day laborers. We labor during the day," and the Rebbe says, "We are day laborers" means we work to add light. We are soldiers of light. That's our job. So we stay away from anything that's negative. Stay away from anything that can push somebody away from his Yiddishkeit, and we only focus on positive and adding light. So that was the idea there. Yeah. And then we were winding down, getting ready to finish this album, and Ari Goldwag sent me a song. Tell me what you think about this song.
Oh, so Ivri wasn't even part of this album yet?
Not even a part of the album.
And Ari is someone that you've worked with in the past, of course. Ari's a singer-songwriter himself.
Yeah. And he wrote for me Yesh Tikva. And he wrote a few other songs, Shalom Ali Family. And then he sent me this song. Oh boy. I called my producer, I said, I got some bad news. I have to add a song.
Oh, man.
It's like too good to pass up.
And that's something that he approached you when it comes to songs, and we'll get back to the story of Ivri Anochi. When it comes to that creative process for a second, what does that look like? Are you writing songs, the music, or how does that industry look? Are people approaching you at this point?
It works in every way. Every song is different. Sometimes a composer will sit by himself, compose a song, make a quick demo and send it over and ask you how you like it. Sometimes I'll go to a composer and tell him, I'm looking for this kind of a song, this kind of a topic, these lyrics or whatever. Every song evolves differently. Yesh Tikva, for example, we called Ari and asked him for a upbeat Hebrew language song about hope and whatever it was. Ivri Anochi, he sent it to me out of the blue. And when I heard the chorus, it wasn't the English lyrics or anything like that, but when I heard the chorus, I thought, oh my goodness, this can be a Jewish pride anthem.
Yeah, you just knew it.
I said, this is the song that I've been looking for. Yeah. So we worked on it, we got lyrics, we added a bridge, we added whatever, like a pre-chorus. And as it developed music, we got Jan Frater and Daniel Kapler to work on the music. And as I'm hearing the music, I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, this is not just an add-on song. This song is going to be track number 1. Yeah. And we're going to not do a video for Kulam Sharim. We're going to do a video for this song. Like, suddenly everything changed. And again, not getting too excited because, Yesh Tikva is behind me. Yesh Tikva is a one-off.
You guys seemed when you and Sterling Meir came and we met for coffee for Ivri Anochi, you guys seemed very contained. You seemed okay with it.
Yeah. No, because it's not...
You held your poker face quite well.
Well, because miracles don't happen twice.
Yeah.
Whatever the language is in the Gemara. You can't expect miracles to happen every day. And then it was another miracle. I mean, that Ivri Anochi blew up. So now I have another problem because I'm working on a new album. And I'm trying to stay contained and stay realistic. Miracles definitely don't happen 3 times.
Perhaps now, from life's experiences, perhaps not coming from a place of containment, but rather of explosiveness. Keep those emotions high. Keep it out there. Yes, excited. I mean, and obviously when you put yourself out and you play that game, there's also the risk of being hurt or maybe sad, but at the same time, it's the process which is all about. So to open that lid and like, you know what, I have created 2 incredible hits, and let me enter this with an open mind, with an open heart, and
for sure
this could happen.
I'm very hopeful.
Yeah.
Yesh Tikva.
Yeah. Sure. Bada boom.
I'm very hopeful. I think I got some great songs, but I'm not expecting. A lot of people, they say, you're working on a new album? You get it a lot. You're working on a new album? Yeah. Any good stuff? No.
The worst.
No. I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that question because actually, no good stuff. In fact, I think I'm over good stuff. Everybody's trying to put out good stuff. I'm going to do something different. Yeah. I'm going to put out not such good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm trying to put out good stuff. We'll see.
Where's the direction, if you could share with us, where's the direction of this album going?
This album that's coming out, Bezrat Hashem, will be like an international kind of album. A lot of original lyrics, Hebrew language, English, maybe a little Russian, who knows.
Okay. Going back to the shtetl days.
Yes, indeed. We'll see.
Most of your songs are Hebrew, right?
Yeah, most of the hits, yeah.
Most of the hits are Hebrew. But you're saying there are many songs that you have that are English, and do you try to incorporate more English lyrics, or?
I do try. I don't know why I have an easier time getting Hebrew lyrics written than English lyrics. I don't know, maybe because I understand English better.
Yeah.
So if like a Hebrew language song is like shvach, I don't even know that it's shvach. But if an English language song, I know because that's my language. So I'm having harder time with English than with Hebrew, but we'll have some English on the next album.
What I find interesting though is that some the American English singers have sometimes an easier time singing Hebrew lyrics in a Hebrew song than they have singing English lyrics in an English song.
Yeah.
Like the English, when they sing English lyrics, it seems weird.
Yeah.
It boggles me. It's so interesting.
Well, because we talk English, even when we talk in English, we're talking like yeshivish English, right? So then when you want to sing, suddenly it's like you're singing also yeshivish English.
Yeah.
And you have to try to break away from that if you want it to sound like a song instead of like a drasha. So it's something you have to work on.
Right.
Some people are better at it than others. I'm not good at it.
You know where you stand.
No, I'm not good at it.
I got it. You're here sitting in front of me, and you're wearing the black hat, the classic Lubavitcher black hat on your head, the 3-pincher, and yet you're not wearing a jacket. You're wearing a sweater. You look very stylish. You got some cool shoes on.
Oh yeah.
You got some colorful socks. So I feel like it really reflects who you are as a person in the sense that you walk this line of what you're a Hasid, you're from, you're ultra-Orthodox Jew, yet you don't come across with an energy that you're like in a box or in a bubble, and it's just, I mean, I'm curious to know like how you got into this place of this balance, and also how do you maintain it to not get over and drawn over to either side. You're very relatable.
I'm related to a lot of people.
14 siblings alone.
I am in a box, right? My father told me once, a long time ago, that when you say Shema Yisrael, right, you say Hashem Echad, and you do the four corners and up and down. Pardon me. It's walls that you are meant to be referring to. That you're saying, like this and not different. So we do live in a box. We have boundaries that we will never cross. But within that box, you know what I mean? It's all bets are off. Within those constraints,
Sky's
right?
the limit.
The sky is the limit. So that's the vart. The vart is you have your boundaries, you have your red line that God forbid will never cross. But within those within those boundaries, there's a lot of freedom and there's a lot of room for creativity and for it's a whole world. There's not one cut and slice way for everybody to live. Individual expression and all that good stuff within. So that's the most important thing is to have, first of all, to have a mashpia, to have a rabbi who you ask or somebody who you look up to, you ask your questions to, so you don't do anything that later on you might regret.
Make for yourself a teacher.
For yourself a teacher.
I love the language they use. Make yourself a teacher in the sense that you choose who you want that teacher to be, that mentor, someone that you admire, someone that lives a life that you could live up to and work towards. And so it's not something that's imposed upon you, but rather it comes from you self, and you put that as a beacon. Right.
Yeah. It's very, very important. Yeah. It's very important to have a rabbi that you have accepted upon yourself, right? To have like an authority that you turn to, and whatever they say, you have accepted upon yourself l'chatchila that whatever they say, that's what you will.
No matter what they say, even if it's uncomfortable or something that perhaps is against your own way of thinking. Right. I think also, I remember what I remind myself in those moments where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do something like that. I also bring myself back to the point of like when it's because it's my old self, right, trying to hold me back. Like, wait a second, I put this person, this leader, this mentor in charge of me. So when it comes to these moments, because my old way of thinking has got me in trouble, it didn't allow me to grow. So this is perhaps I could put myself aside and let me follow what he thinks is best. Right.
So I think it's important to have a mashpia, a rabbi, that you will listen to in any event, right? Somebody who's objective, not partial to your own emotions and all that good stuff. And it's important to have your own boundaries, to know, this is my line that I'll never cross. And also, I think it's important for me personally to really want to be a part of something. I'm crazy about the Rebbe, and I really want to be part of his revolution. And I want to tap into his worldview and do for him what he expects me to do. You know what I mean? I want to be part of that. Yeah. Even just for selfish reasons. It's so awesome. So these three things, I think. Have your boundaries, have a mashpia, and really want to be a part of something big, something good.
Got that. Got it. So, in this day and age, it seems like there's a lot more access to creating your dreams, especially in the Jewish world. There's a lot more push for people to find creative ways to express themselves, singing, art, dance, video. So there's a lot of new faces coming up and trying to come up into this industry. Do you have any tips, any things you want to share to those who are listening that may help them or give them some direction? Well,
first of all, if you're coming in as a singer, you need to drink more water. Everybody got to drink water.
You've been drinking all day.
Everybody got to drink water. It changes everything.
Wow, profound, very profound.
Yes,
Thank you, Benny. All right, call it a day.
Yes. Bichlal, the floodgates have opened, and everything is open, everything's accessible, and the hashpois are coming. But the Rebbe talks about it in the Meir. There's an example in the Medrash where the king comes to town, right? And with the king come all the ministers and all the generals and whatever else, So the story is that different people, in order to receive whatever they're looking for, they approach different ministers and different officers and different things. There was one intelligent person, says the Medrash, who said, I choose the king because everybody else changes. Everyone is replaceable. The king doesn't change. So today we have hashpois. People, Baruch Hashem, are making money. Is opportunity is on ashir, without limit. Melech Boli'ir, the king has come to town, and with him he has brought all of his ministers and all of his officers, and there's plenty of opportunity to receive a lot of hashpois, a lot of whatever it is you're looking for. But it takes a pikeach, somebody smart and somebody intelligent, to say, I choose the king because the king is really the most important part. Everything else comes and goes. This is the focus. And I think if a person goes in, like you see, with our Rome, like people like Ivri Friedman, Mordechai ben David, right? They didn't let all the noise distract them from the point. The point is the point. Everything else has to work for that main goal. You go in that way, strong.
All right, Benny, listen, talk to me. Is any you got your album coming out? Any other fun projects you're working on?
I'm on a podcast with Meir coming out soon.
That's right.
And that's it. That's really the only important thing going on in my life right now.
Beautiful. All right, Benny, thank you so much for being here. Incredible. Where can people find you if on social media?
Benny's Music, Strudel Benny's Music, at Benny's Music on Instagram. I'm everywhere, Instagram, Facebook a little bit, But Instagram is now the main thing.
Yeah, Instagram.
It's the most important.
Instagram, yeah, YouTube channel, YouTube.
Facebook.
Yeah.
YouTube, look it up.
Benny's Music.
Yeah.
Cool.
Benny's Music, Benny Friedman.
All right.
Good stuff.
Benny, thank you so much for filling this world with light, with your talent, and
Meir.
inspiring myself, and I know many people as well. So, Toda
You're a
Rabba.
man.
Toda!